the one and only
Hey,
Jason Irving. I love it. Good to see you.
good to see you too. How are you?
I'm doing amazingly well, and even better for getting to see your amazing face show up on my Instagram with me.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah,
cool.
and this is my first go at it, so I actually managed to press the button. It wasn't too hard.
Yeah, I know. It's been funny. It was my first one on Monday, and then everybody I've had on the show, it's all everybody's first this week. So I'm excited
Okay.
about. All right, so what I just wanted to do is firstly just introduce this series a little bit, and then I want to dive into some of your incredible wisdom. I can see your beautiful wife Anya has just joined us. We had her on the show yesterday, so that's cool, like the support. So this is day 5 of what we're calling.
Hopefully she doesn't heckle me.
Yeah, I bet she does. Good on you, Anya. We need a little challenge here. So on day 5 of the Self-Connection in Isolation exclusive interview series with incredible human beings, just like Jason, who are open to sharing their perspective in the hope that it's going to help you get further, deeper connection with yourself, clarity that inspires you, and also set you up with a little bit of a challenge so that you can keep growing and expanding during this time of what could be just falling into your comfort zone. So today's guest is Jason Irving. He is the founder of the Wellness Breakthrough Academy, an academy that I joined a few months ago, which I'm very grateful for being a part of that beautiful community and getting the amazing personal guidance from Jason and his wife Anya, who you met yesterday. He's a wellness leader and also a spiritual development mentor. So first thing I want to ask you today, Jason, is what are you most grateful for in your life right now?
I think I'm most grateful for my family. I've got an amazing family of, beautiful people. We challenge each other and to get better every day. I'm just grateful to be here. Since the coronavirus happened, I'm probably actually the calmest I've ever been. So it's really interesting when everyone's in a bit of chaos. I'm completely centered. I'm just like a sea of calmness, and it's probably happened over the last month or two. And when this happened, I was just like, yep, everything's completely fine for me. So I basically have been putting out emotional fires and mental fires everywhere.
Yeah.
When people have lost it, I'm really gracious of being here in this time. I think chaos is the most amazing space for change, and I'm really reveling in this time right now because it's a really important time for our planet to be thinking differently and being differently in the world.
I love that, and it kind of led into a bit of a question that I would love to ask you, because I feel like you have such a unique perspective in the realm of, what's the deeper meaning? I know you're so talented at finding the pattern behind the pattern and the deeper meaning, and it's such a gift that you have. So I'd love for you to share a bit of your perspective in terms of, the whole pandemic that's sweeping the globe right now, and the chaos, as you put it. What's kind of the deeper meaning or perspective that we could be thinking of this situation and getting more inspired and empowered by?
Well, the biggest thing I think about when it comes to what's happening right now is every single person on the planet is forced to do something about themselves. There's not one person has a chance, except for my little kids, of course. All the little people are like, this is awesome. They're playing and having lots of fun. Charlotte just fell in the pool. Just before we had to...
I hope you fished her out.
Yeah, she was the first one to have a go. We just moved house and she fell in the pool, and so we had to fish her out. But she had a few tears and congratulated her for being the first in the pool. So I think what happens for us is that we've got this amazing opportunity right now to really dig into the stuff, because there's nothing, we can't actually stop it. People have to stop right now for the first time, potentially for the first time in their life for a really, really long time, having to stop and reassess and see where they're at and what they're about and what's going on. So quite often people are blaming, people are upset, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of head stuff going on, emotional turbulence, simply because that's been sitting under the covers for a really, really long time for everyone. And now it's forced. And the trouble is, people need leaders to be able to show them what is happening. That chaos has been sitting inside for so long, and then the chaos of the world has come up and said, you know what, it's time for you now to deal with it. So I look at this as an inspirational time for a reset for every single person who is, especially who are doing development work, to actually think about, you know, what is holding them back in their stuck points, and utilize this time as the strongest instrument to actually focus on a reset and a change, not now, but for your future way down the track. Right. So people like me, I've got a vision for my academy. So I'm just focusing on where I want to go. I'm not worried about, I know this world needs some chaotic, needs a reboot. It needs a complete restart. And this is a major opportunity for all of us to think deeply about what we really want and how we want to be it and what we have to do to start it. So I've had a lot of people, especially in the academy, just completely turn around some really deep stuff to heal. You know, we've done some amazing stuff together. I've watched you absolutely bloom into a sunflower over this, especially this last couple of weeks, you know, and if you is still going. Oh, there we go. Back. You there?
Again, yep, lost it for a second. You back now?
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah,
okay.
Back.
Everybody's on the internet. Everybody's probably doing their first Instagram
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's. So where did you get to there? What did we catch?
Yeah, so I caught the last bit. You were saying that I was blooming like a sunflower, and you know, you're seeing the changes. Yep, let's go back there because I like that little analogy.
So, that's right. So, you know, people who are digging in deep right now on their stuff, you have, every one of us has the most amazing opportunity to create a new sunflower in our world and really look at how we want to really cherish our life. So, you know, a lot of people are, you know, having to, you know, all our things that we've taken for granted, we can't take for granted anymore. So it's the little things that that matter right now, and it's really important that we, you know, really think about, you know, what really matters in our world and who matters.
Absolutely. And I love that. So what you're really saying here is this whole situation, this whole chaotic situation that's out of our control, out of our personal control, is really here because we've all been, you know, we haven't been dealing with the chaos that's been within. And now we're being forced to actually deal with that and also focus on what really matters and get out of our distractions and our habits so that we can actually realign and move somewhere more inspiring with our lives. Is that kind of the gist of kind of what you're saying with that reboot? Yeah. Yeah,
it's a massive reboot. So people who lose jobs, they get a chance to actually get something that they really want, and they have to figure out, well, what was I really doing in that job, and was I happy? You know, and to give an opportunity to create something completely brand new.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. That's awesome. So I wanted to, because I love that we just kind of went on a little bit of a roll out of gratitude, right? And also, you know, finding a different perspective that can empower people. What I want to ask you is just to share a little bit more about, before I get into the key questions that I want to dive into with you today, just share with everybody a little bit about the work that you do and what inspires you to do the work that you do.
Look, well, I was a healer for a really, really long time. I started in 1998, and basically I was taught that in that time, the healing time in that time was the pillow punching methodology, where you'd punch pillows to heal. You'd scream and yell and jump around and dance and try and get yourself sorted out by, screaming it all out. So it was all about reactionary pain. And, I started doing work with people, and, I had all these miraculous things happen on my table where, people were having amazing experiences where they completely reset their whole state of being in, 10 minutes. And I was just like, I don't know. I didn't even know how I was doing it. I had no idea how I was doing it, to be honest. People would just come. I had people flying over from, I had people even fly overseas to come and see me just to experience what I was doing. And, I didn't really know what it was about until I started investigating, started teaching, and started sharing. And what I realized was I was actually just accepting the space of pain that the person was in wholeheartedly without trying to fix it. Right? And so everyone talks about this now. Like, people talk about this, but people aren't actually doing it, because they're saying, oh yeah, be okay with your sadness. Let's go to joy now. Right? Whereas I get people to dive into their sadness and spend time with it and meet it and feel okay with it, and understanding there's a purpose with the problems. So I realized after working with, thousands and thousands and thousands of people that there was a real purpose and there was a real brilliance to everyone's pain. And people were trying to get out of their brilliance. So what I decided to do was, I decided to create something that was an anomaly and say, well, this industry has not got me in it. It hasn't got a point of difference. It's constantly focusing on disregarding that stuff, putting cement over the top of it and saying it doesn't exist. And this is what I saw leaders doing. And then leaders would come and see me and they'd be completely broken, completely busted, and they come and see me and tell me all the disaster zone that's happened. And then they get on stage and say, hey, I'm the world's savior, and here I am, and I'm here to make it better. And I'd just be like, oh, you were just talking to me about the very opposite, and here you are spouting how brilliant you are and what you're great at, and what's going on here? And so what I decided to do is as a leader, I decided to create an academy, and I thought, well, I want to be different in my academy. So I've cried in my academy. I've told people, I feel worthless. I show people how worthlessness is actually helpful in the work that I do, which is complete opposite, trying to be worthy and brilliant. I actually show people all the show-stopping statements and make them assets rather than make them deficits. And that's where I'm different. So I decided to do the complete reverse. So I had someone doing a podcast with me about a month ago. He's a coach. And he said to me, what do you do when you're about to get on stage and you're about to deliver something really important, you haven't done it before? And I looked at him and I said, first thing I do, I take a big breath in and I say, I'm really stupid. This is going to not work and everything's going to go bad and I'm not going to be clear and it's going to suck. And he looked at me and he goes, what? And I said, and he said, that's the complete opposite to the coaching industry. I said, yep, that's what I'm teaching in my academy. And the thing is, he didn't want to actually post the podcast because it was too much for him, because it was so off base for where he knew that his belief systems were at.
Yeah.
And that's where I go. I go through the back door and look at all the stuff that's in the closet, make it okay. Yeah. Everyone's wanting to show their front room, and the front room from a metaphoric perspective is the room that you show everyone to say, hey, I've got it covered. Have a look in this front room. I do not want you to see the back room and the closets or the attic or the ground floor, because that's got a huge mess in it. And what I do is I show the brilliance of that ground floor and the attic and clean up all that area so people can see it. And I'm not ashamed. I'm not worried about my past. I share it, and I don't have a problem with my problems. And I am very, very happy to be vulnerable and transparent and authentic. And people talk about it, but people don't actually do it. They don't say, hey, I've had a really hard day, because they're worried about losing people, especially as leaders. You haven't paid me for that. You paid me to be inspiring.
Oh, and you know, this is such a gift that you've given me in my life. Oh, hang on, we'll just
There you
see.
go again.
Have we lost you? We haven't lost you?
I'm
I was just going to say, you know, that, oh my gosh, just over this short period of time of myself meeting you, and I think maybe we should share a little bit of that story, because it's funny and it's interesting, but it's also, it was so profound for me in my life.
in LA when I first met you?
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
So
you tell the story.
Okay, all right. Well, so what I wanted to say was, you know, just based on everything that you shared right then, you know, I didn't realize that that was my problem. I didn't realize that there was this other perspective towards your pain. You know, I'd had kind of heard, you know, your challenges, your traumas, become, you know, you triumph over them, and that becomes, you know, your gift and your message and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I was learning from amazing gurus who, yeah, they've set me on the path that I'm on right now, and I'm forever grateful for their work, because at different points it's absolutely served me. And, you know, on top of that, it was kind of keeping me stuck at a limit. Like, once I got to a certain point, then I thought, you know, you have to choose your emotional state. You know, if you don't feel like crap, like if you feel like crap, you know, stop that. You get to be at choice point and choose how you want to feel. And I was carrying around this immense sadness in my life that nobody else saw.
I did.
You did. Because when I met this man, we were both actually attending a different teacher's course, you know, in Los Angeles back in November. And at the end of that event, we were both kind of going towards the lounge at Qantas, and we ended up, you know, getting in conversation a little bit. You're kind of a little bit different.
Yeah,
kind of,
a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, and I'm like, who is this guy? And anyway, we got talking, and it was such a profound experience for me, because I don't even know how to explain it. I think you could probably explain it better than me. But the experience that I had was looking into each other's eyes, and I felt like, and this might sound a little bit woo-woo for people, but I honestly felt like seen for the first time. I felt like my soul, you know, the deepest part of me, was being seen by your soul, and I could see yours. And it was just this beauty in the sadness that I'd never experienced before. And you know, it's kind of making my eyes well up, just even going back to that moment.
I'll never forget. I won't forget that moment, because I remember saying to you, which was very, very different. I said to you, you know, every time I help someone, I chip away at my own sadness. And then you realized what we actually all do is we're chipping away at our own sorrow every time we help someone. And you got it. And you were like, and then I chuffed off. I said, I'll see you later. I got to go and catch my plane. You was like, but what are you doing? Where are you at? I sort of left you in the lurch a little bit, and I thought, oh shit, I better contact you and say hello when I got back to Australia, you know, a week or two later, and you know, catch up with you. But that was that moment. It's just, you know, I told you a whole bunch of personal things about you, you know, and told you how your partner was. I told you everything about your life, and then I said that one moment that actually what we're really here for is to chip away at our own sorrow. And not to actually hide from that sorrow, and know that that sorrow is there to be chipped away. And as we chip away, as we help people, we find a little bit of sadness just gets removed. And that's what happens to people who are deeply, deeply but heart-based. And that's what I knew about you. When you locked into that moment where you started to get teary, you were like, I was like, oh, I know this woman. She's so beautiful in the way that she wants to help, because it's all heart based. And I got to see that really clearly, you know, with who you are and what you are as a person. I can see that right now, you know, that real vulnerability and beauty that is heart based. It's so caring. And remember, I care so deeply, it hurts. Yeah. That's what we said. That's what we spoke about. And you fully got it, how much, you know, helping people means to you. And it's not, and that's the symbiotic process about helping and caring, is it's not, you're not the helper and a helpee. It's a process of connection that actually allows both people to feel better about themselves.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And it was such a wake-up call for me. I'm forever grateful for our connection. And, you know, just happening to be at just, you know, this total opposite type of teachers event, you know, that at the end of that event, you know, I honestly felt like the entire reason for me being involved with that particular teacher was actually to meet you, you know, at the end of that event. So, yeah, I'm forever grateful for all the teaching and all the lessons and all the growth that I continue to have by just being in your presence and soaking up your wisdom and being challenged. We've had a few, I've had a definite challenges. But you mentioned there, you know, that it's not about us just helping other people and being one-sided. It's more about the connection and how when we help others, we're being helped simultaneously. So that really leads me into one of the supposed to be first questions, but I don't know. I've got to stop calling it the first question because it's definitely not. But I had this question around connection because I was feeling that, you know, the more connected to ourselves, the more centered we are within ourselves, and you know, owning and acknowledging and accepting those experiences that we're having in our minds, in our bodies, in our emotional states, then that's going to just be the foundational piece to how we show up in the world with our other connections, with what we're choosing to do in the world. So my question to you is, you know, what is your best strategy for helping people connect with themselves, or for you personally, what you do to connect with yourself in order to create an inner stability, no matter how chaotic it is in the world? And I feel like you're the perfect person to ask because you just, you know, you came onto the interview today saying how you're just this ocean of calmness in such chaos. So yeah, how can we go into that ocean of calmness as well?
Look, one of the things that I share in the academy is simple and deep. So for anyone who's watching this might think, oh, this is a little bit too simple. All the academy members go, oh my God, no, it can't be that easy. Basically, what I do is to calm down is I just take 3 deep breaths into my belly. Imagine the energy going down through my feet. And if I've got a statement that's in my head, basically what I do is I say, I'm a douchebag and that's okay, and breathe that down and do not dishonor it. If I've got a feeling, I've got anxiousness right now, and that's okay, and I anchor that down and just acknowledge the fact that I'm feeling anxious, and I just allow that to be okay. And once I'm okay with that, bang, it just disappears. Right? And from all the work that I used to do as a therapist, people would come into my room and they'd be like, you just make me calm, right? And it was all because I was helping them anchor breathe. It's just a simple process that I do, is just imagining energy from the top of my head all the way down through my feet, 3 big breaths, whatever statement, whatever feeling, I just acknowledge, accept, or honor what's going on for me at the time and allow it to be. I don't try and fix it. I just say, this is what's going on. And it's okay to be in that space. Because one thing I've learned, pain does not want to be fixed. It wants to be accepted. It wants to be witnessed. It wants to be acknowledged. It wants to be seen for what it is. It does not want to be transformed. It wants to be. And once you let it be, bang, it's gone in a heartbeat. And so, you know, that's the key is, you know, 3 breaths, just acknowledge where you're at, just allow it to be okay. And the moment you allow it to be okay, calmness sets itself in. And that's why I'm okay right now. You know, people come and see me and they're like, one guy in the academy said, you are so unnervingly calm. When are you going to lose it on me? Can you just be something other than this guy? Like, it's really not comfortable for me to see you this way, because I've got a grin on my face. Someone tells me the most horrific story and I'm like, okay, that's awesome. We can work with that. and nothing phases me. Not a single thing phases me. I've heard everything, and I just go, okay, let's just spend some time with that. You know, I just had someone today who had been hit by the strap with dad, right? All her childhood, just absolute physical abuse. And I just come in and say, okay, that's perfect. Let's just work with the patterning of love must equal abuse, because she's created abuse all the way through her experiences in relationships, and you know that's what she knew. So I was just like, okay, this is awesome. I get to spend time with this pattern and calm it down, you know, and just show her the patterning and the behaviour that's been created in her future. And everyone sort of looks at me, you know me better than I know me in half an hour. And it's simply because I don't know whether you're old enough, Vanessa. I don't think you are. There's a show called The $6 Million Man with Steve Austin. And basically he was half machine. He had this cool thing where everything would go really, really slow. Everyone thinks we've got to be really fast paced right now. The idea, when you breathe properly, you slow everything down to a halt and you see everything. And when you can see everything, if you don't resist it, everything calms down.
Yeah.
How's that?
Absolutely. I love that. And you know, the thing for me was like entering the academy. I was a bit like, because I've come from an NLP background, which is we're very like figure it out, very masculine, very mental. And I'm used to kind of going down the rabbit hole, and I love it. Like, I love analyzing things, right? And so for me, it was a little bit like, that is a little bit like too simple, right? Like, but I did.
All
I
the
gave it a
coaches
go.
find it too. Yeah, and it works, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You know, what happened for me was all this sadness I felt I was carrying for my whole life, and particularly over the last 2-3 years, really trying to find out what the hell that was, you know, and like trying to get over it, and not feeling like I was getting the traction, and feeling like I needed to escape and isolate and all these different things. When I met you and had that experience, I felt like I can trust this guy. Like, I want to know what's going on here. And he gets me. He's not just trying to make a buck. He's not just trying to tell me what I want to hear. He can tell it to me straight. And you were everything that I wanted from the teacher that we met through, but in a really heart-centered place that wasn't trying to take advantage of me. And for me, you know, that's just such a gift. And so I decided, all right, might sound a bit simple, I'm going to give this a go. And I think those first couple of weeks, I actually got knocked off my feet, you know, kind of like what a little mini coronavirus happened to me at home, you know, like I couldn't move. I couldn't focus on anything. I just had to sit and be, and just be with my sadness and experience.
And that's what happens. People sort of lose it a little bit in the academy because the stuff is so different, and then something pops, doesn't it? And everything just turns around and the light appears. And it's basically because everyone's taught to fix broken stuff, right?
Yep.
And I don't do that. I don't fix anything. I just let it be, and it fixes itself.
Yeah, it's the paradox, right? Like, if you actually want to fix it, don't fix it, you know? Like,
that's right. And we see it in the movies. Like, you look at Mr. Miyagi from The Karate Kid, right?
Yeah.
The Karate Kid, this is what everyone's trying to be. Karate Kid, get the black belt. Mr. Miyagi's saying, just chill out. It's okay. If you just surrender, you'll end up being able to kick high. But if you try to kick high, you're frustrated and you're hitting everything other than the target, right? And it's, you know, people say, oh, it's easier said than done. I think the techniques that I have that are so simple, you know, people are trying to create too much complexity, I think, in this life.
Yeah.
And we've got to go back and reset, you know, and think, well, that's what coronavirus is about. Thinking about, well, how can we make our world a little bit more simple in the way that we think, you know, how we do things, and construct our lives, and then we can create amazing things that way.
Yeah.
You know, a thing I want to add to you is that, you know, I think the thing that's really important is, you know, a lot of people feel manipulated by leaders. right?
Yeah.
That we're just out for the buck. And yeah, we're here to make money. That's true. But
Yeah.
when you've got this sense of, you know, wanting the best for someone, people feel that.
Definitely. Yeah.
I just got a message pop up from someone just saying, "Oh my God, I'm just so grateful that I joined the academy. I'm going to get so much out of it. That was just an absolute wow session."
Yeah.
She just had her first ever session with me today, and she's just like, "Oh, this was very different." she
Yeah.
basically she said, all those years of therapy have been wasted." Right? Half an
Oh,
hour with me. You
yeah.
know, and
Absolutely.
it's really cool to actually have that experience of being able to show someone a different way and them just take it and really get comprehended and understood so quickly.
Absolutely. And I love that you give the tools, you educate people and leaders on the tools so that they can go and then help other people. And that's amazing. It's the ripple effect.
Yeah.
So what I'm really taking so far from the conversation is, for people out there, the simple and deep way of looking at the coronavirus right now: surrender to what you can't control, right?
Yeah.
And then we've got
Yeah.
to accept, honor, and acknowledge what's really going on for you as an individual. And that is the way that you're going to create that calmness, that centeredness, and, you know, ultimately bring that inner stability. And like Jason said, you know, that ocean of calmness to a chaotic experience, so that you can
Yeah.
ultimately be that ripple effect and ooze over into other people's lives, or not. You know, it's not necessarily your
Yeah.
responsibility, but you're that leader of yourself at the forefront.
Yeah. 100%. And look, I'll just give you a little bit of a tip. Chaos, you know, when you get that epiphany,
Yep.
that absolute, where the hell did that come from?
Yep.
That rabbit out of the hat moment is actually coming from chaos. It's not
How?
coming from a place of, I've got to calculate 1 + 1 = 2. It's
Yep.
coming from a place of chaos, and then it just drops in like an epiphany. And you know, when you get that epiphany, your whole body tingles. It's actually coming from the chaotic moment. It's not coming from order,
I
right?
love.
So
Yeah.
we have to actually create a little bit of chaos, a little bit of bump in the road. All of us do. And if you think about your bumps in the road being a chaotic moment, what has happened afterward has been the brilliant road that's come after that. We all need to have the world come tumbling down on us,
Yep.
metaphorically or physically, whatever it needs to be, to get us to know that the chaos moment is actually going to direct us in the order that we need the most.
Absolutely. And I've even had some clients in my life, you know, an amazing client of mine in Amsterdam who I've been working with him to get out of a position that wasn't serving him. And you know, and then he just kept dawdling with it. The world knocked him out of that. He
Yeah.
was forced out of it. And then another Irish client of mine, you know, really just such a busy bee in the world, doing great stuff, but you know, being forced to be at home, homeschooling the kids, working at home with her husband, and having to disconnect and isolate from her events that she'd go to all the time and her friendships and sort of that, all those sort of things. She's actually having to put a lot more time, attention, and focus on her intimate relationship with her partner, which she wouldn't have otherwise. And she's
Yeah.
realized how insignificant he was feeling in her life. And now they're in this position where it's forced focus for the betterment of what really matters, which is
Yeah.
those closest relationships to us. So totally in agreement and resonating with what you're sharing about this time.
Yeah,
Love
I
it.
think it's really important to look at it from, you know, a really important angle of opportunity rather than an angle of desperation, problem, and you know, issues. You know, it's going to bring up your issues. It's how you deal with them that matters. You know, and if you can look at them in a different way with a different angle, and the goal is looking at them upside down. Don't look at them the same way that you've always looked at them. If you look at them the same way, you're going to get the same result.
That's so cool. All right. And that kind of leads me into a really good segue for our next question, which is around clarity. right? Because yeah, you know, beating a dead horse, looking at things the same way, not really going to work out for you if you're not getting the result. So
No.
what's a powerful question or a way that we could be gaining clarity right now, that will allow us to focus on what actually matters, on actually what's going to serve us and grow us, rather than, yeah, staying stuck or being in comfort?
Yeah, sure. Look, I'll give you another really simple tip, guys. Sorry if it's too simple.
Love it.
The simple tip is asking yourself, who am I being in this moment? Right? If you just do that simple question, who am I being in this moment, you get to become the observer of the choices that you make. You get to look a little bit more deeply rather than looking at the surface and find out, well, what choice did I make and why did I make it and who am I being with and why am I being with this situation? And the coolest thing that you can do is you offer this to yourself every day. Who am I today? Because what that does is it creates an opportunity to break your identity. Identity is the thing that locks and loads us into the same situation all the time. It gives us clarity and it's super simple. And the coolest thing that we can do is, who are you? Right? And this is what I do with every single person that has a session with me. I expect them to be different. So the first time, before I'm about to have a chat to them, I did this with you, Vanessa, because we had an amazing experience just recently. I just look and just go, okay, I'm doing a live with Vanessa. Who is she today?
Yep.
So I don't lock you into what I think you are. I'm giving you the opportunity to be something other than what I think you are, which gives me a different doorway to look at you differently, to look at myself differently, and to look at the world differently. And it's very simple. A very simple question creates a very deep answer. And the more you do it, the more you're able to see yourself constructing reality on the hop. And then this is what we want to be able to do. Under stress, have choice. So if we are asking, are we being a victim in this moment? Oh, I'm being a victim right here. Oh, I can switch that right now. I can be a creator. And if I choose to be a creator right now, I'm going to make very, very different choices in this moment. So all this is a really simple question. Who am I being in this moment? What type of person? And is it helpful? And if it's helpful, keep doing it. If it's not, do something else.
My gosh, mind blown just then. That was so cool, particularly to think about asking who is this person outside of you, because the human brain wants to compartmentalize, wants to put people into a box, wants to have a label so it can just work you out. And I feel like that's the number one reason why our relationships fizzle out, because we know people better than they know themselves, or you know, we don't get curious. Yeah, so I absolutely love that. And I know that you have mentioned to me about one of the things that you do with your beautiful wife, Anya. You know, you wake up in the morning and you're like, who am I today? And who's she today? You know, you don't put yourself or her in a box. And I love that. I really feel like that's going to be really powerful for people to test out today. And like Jason said, you know, who are you today? And, you know, why are you that person? Why is that your identity? And how are you different maybe from yesterday? And as he said, you know, is that helpful? Is that leading you in an inspiring direction? Are you going to be proud of the person that you are right now? You know, and yeah, that's awesome.
Well, if you think about it, like in the Academy, we focus on giving people a vision, right? So, you know, giving people a vision and a target, and it's a 5-year one. It's a little bit of an abstract target. It's not a definition, it's an idea. And then if you ask yourself that question, you get to look at your target, and if you've got a target where you want to go, you get to see if you're going to, with that way of approaching, you're moving closer to your target or you're moving further away. And if you're moving further away, you can stop it straight away. Because you know where you want to go. Most people are living a reactive life, and this is the reason why the coronavirus has made an impact on people, because people are not living a responsive life. So we're just reacting to circumstances. If you've got a target, you're asking yourself who you are today, you're checking in to see whether you're going towards that target. So this is why the coronavirus hasn't done anything to me, or hasn't made me ruffled, because I've got a target. I'm asking myself, am I doing the right thing? So when the coronavirus came in, I just swamped myself into helping, because I knew that people needed my calmness. So I doubled down on help.
Yeah. Which
And,
simultaneously helped and supported you along that journey.
100%.
Yeah. It actually probably had a positive effect in terms of moving you towards your target even more, you know, like
100%.
Yeah.
I doubled down, created that extra support. I had, without doing any ads or anything, I had about over 100 people join my Facebook group with no ads. People just go and join this group. So I had all these people. I was looking at all the people. They're saying someone else kept sending someone to my close Facebook group, right? Yeah. Go and find out what he's doing right now, because he's calm when I'm not. So they just, I had one lady add 15 people to my Facebook group just because she was so calm after one experience with me. She's like, oh, I got to get all my friends to join.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I can see why. That's awesome. Yeah, so I love that.
Putting that effort in.
Definitely. And speaking of calm, let's ruffle it up a little bit, because as you said, our change and our growth comes from that a bit of chaos. And, so what I want to ask you is more of what sort of inspiring challenge would you ask all of us to do today that could ensure that we're growing, expanding, maybe accessing what we need in terms of calmness or moving towards our vision, whatever that is, whatever challenge you feel called to challenge us with during this time that you feel could have a beneficial impact on us?
Look, I think the best challenge that I could suggest that people have, there's usually two types of people in the world. There's go-getters and still people.
Yeah.
Right? So the people who don't get off the couch and they struggle to move, they're in isolation right now, just going, whoa, this is all right. This is okay. Things haven't changed. Things are beautiful. I've had a few people say, this is normal. I don't have to do a single thing differently. And then the go-getters are like, I can't go to the gym. I can't do this. So what I'd suggest for the go-getters, to start meditating and be still and sit in your own shit and spend time with it. And spend time with it for an hour a day. Just spend time with yourself in stillness.
Yep.
For the people who are couch sitters, focus on a vision and focus on where you want to move your life to. And think about getting help, getting support, and calling someone for help to get you moving. Call one of your go-getter friends and say, I need some help to move right now. It'll give them something to do, right?
Yeah.
And that would be a great challenge to really focus on for the two types of typical people in this world, the people who have no ability to stop, right? To stop, meditate, connect in, and spend time working with yourself, finding out what's happening, and then the couch sitters to move. And if you did that for the next, 10, 20 days, you turn into a completely different person.
Oh, I love that. And it's really all about balance, right? Because, and that's one thing that I've also learned, and I'm still learning in the academy, is I'm an active person. And when I met you, I feel like I'm a totally different person. Like, I know I've got a ton of growth ahead of me, but I feel like, just reflecting back, I was just so go. And I must admit, like, over the last few days, I have had some experiences in my life, as you know very, very well, that have brought quite a bit of chaos. And I realized, wow, like, my brain was all over the shop and I was getting caught up in the chaos. And so I've started back my meditation ritual each morning. And I actually want to recommend to people, if you didn't know, it's pretty popular, but there's an app out there called Calm. And for me personally, it's just helped me because I need a little bit of structure, and it gives you that. And it also shows, like, I need a little bit of achievement too. So it shows you, like, you're on track and you've done your next meditation, and it also gives you something to think about, gives you a quote at the end and stuff like that. So, you know, for us go-getters and action takers, it's kind of a good one to actually ease your way into creating stillness in your life. So yeah, great tips there. Absolutely. All right, so before I ask you a final question of really just sharing anything that you just want to leave the audience with, I wanted to just quickly dive into, because we've had a couple of comments here. Jerry said hello to us and said that he loves,
hey Jerry.
He loves to help, that helping someone, and especially a random person, can be so empowering and makes you both feel good. So that's awesome. And that's kind of all we have. But we've had a few amazing individuals come and join us live. So I hope they've been enjoying it, and I'm sure a bit of your amazing calmness and wisdom has helped settle people in this chaotic time as well, and really encouraging them to take on board how to connect yourself, that simple and deep strategy that you mentioned today. Also, you know, how to get some clarity over who you're being and why that matters. And also that amazing challenge for both the go-getters and the couch potatoes, to really create that stillness or that movement, depending on what's going to help balance them out. And so my final question for you is, if you had any kind of final thoughts that are just coming to you that you would love to leave everybody with, that you feel could empower them in some way.
Yeah, look, I really believe we need to just keep resetting and reassessing all the time. Right? The most important thing that we need to do is reset and reassess. And look, I believe, you know, if you want to create an extraordinary life, get help. Right? My biggest mistake that I made, this is my biggest regret, guys, that I made, was not getting help when I was a healer. Right? I did it all myself. I didn't have any mentors. There's a bonus for that, because I created all of these structures that are completely unique, that no one else does. Since I started getting help, and that was probably around about 2016, my business is completely ramped. Right? So don't think that you are big enough to not get help. You got to get help and get support. Right? Especially right now, reach out to your friends if you're struggling. Reach out to someone maybe who has a little bit more of a presence, more of a professional outlook on things, because we all need help. Every single one of us needs support and help. And if you don't reach out for it, this is when you go down the slippery slope. And I see this in people. You know, I've watched people, and I look at them and I say, I was talking to a friend of mine. I was like, in about 5 years, that person's going to get cancer, or they're going to go down the tubes, because they're not following a pathway of getting help. Right? So we all need it. And don't be that ego that says I'll be okay, and don't wait.
Yeah.
Waiting is basically the soul dying. Right? Don't wait until the next day, because the next day comes, and then you'll wait until the next day. And one thing I want to envisage with anyone who's watching this, do you want to live a life of regret, or do you want your tombstone to say, hey, I made a lot happen and I'm really proud? And it really comes down to taking the action and following what your true calling is. And this is the time right now. Right now is the time to find out, well, what am I here and what am I here to do? And age is not a limitation. Age is not a limitation for this. There are people who I've met in the academy. There's a lady who's 70 years old, and she's going to start her Reiki business because she has rocket hands and she's brilliant, you know, and we're looking to support her so she can actually build a business as a Reiki practitioner and as a 70-year-old. Right? Yeah. Don't wait. And she spent a lot of time regretting waiting. And, you know, don't wait. Do get help and know that it's okay to actually be vulnerable and transparent and let people know where you're really going. This crazy Aussie thing, our first lie usually that we do, how you going, mate? Good, thanks.
Good, thanks.
Right, good, thanks. I remember my wife's sister said, people don't actually really want to know the answer to that, how you going, do they? No, that's just what we do. Good, thanks. And then we just walk past with a dopey grin on our face. You know, and that's quite often our biggest lie. We're not telling everyone how we're really feeling. We're putting masks on. So try to be more real.
Yeah.
You know, try to be more transparent and authentic, and don't worry about it. One thing I learned is the more authentic and the more honest I've been, the more I've been loved and cared for.
And that's the kind of love that matters, right? You know,
Yeah.
personally, in my own experience, being everything that that other people I perceived wanted me to be might have got me love, you know, but what are they loving? They're just loving a facade of me, which is going to reinforce to me that I'm not lovable for the truth of who I am. So the greatest thing I personally as well have started the journey of was when I, you know, 3 years ago now, started doing Facebook Lives when I ended a relationship and started a business myself. And, you know, I just showed up and being authentic. And it was honestly the first time in my life I felt loved for the truth of who I was, rather than just this image or this projection that I was putting out because of that basic fear. So a big key part of what I'm hearing from you, get help. You know, from people, I actually encourage people to get help from mutual third parties, you know, who aren't always your friends and family. And particularly around relationship challenges, I really encourage people with that, because everybody's got an opinion, everybody's got a judgment, and you don't want to create more problems based on that. And what I'm really also hearing a common theme out of our conversation today is, you know, have a process of resetting and reassessing, or the world will just throw one at you.
Yeah, it will. It certainly will. And, you know, I think we need to really remind ourselves is, do we want a rock fall on us, or do we want to carry a pebble in our pocket? Right? And that's what happens. If you are ignorant to your own problems, a rock's going to fall on you in the form of disease, in the form of a problem, a relationship breakup, whatever it is. Well, you want to carry a pebble in your pocket and walk with it and not make it so big. And that really comes down to awareness. You know, it really comes down to, you know, and we one thing I want to hand to you before, I know we're probably going to get kicked off. It's almost an hour.
That's right. I'm counting down. We've got 6 minutes.
Is your friends, your besties in quotes, will be enabling you to stay stuck if they're not growing. So what you need is disablement friends. And what I mean by that is people who are going to call your shit out, not say they're there, it's okay, they did the wrong thing, like I've done with you, right? I call your stuff out, you know, and say, you know, your true friend is a person who's going to disable your stuff and say, hey, Vanessa, this is what's happening. Not, hey, Vanessa, yeah, they were wrong, you were right. That's not going to help.
No.
It's actually having amazing disabling friends who love you enough to care so deeply that you are going to get the support that you really need, which is not the thing that you need to hear at the time. It's actually what you really need to hear, which is sometimes not the easiest thing to hear. And that's what people who are not in the world of your world, they can clearly see the dysfunction, especially if you've got a really good one who doesn't want to tell you everything that's going to make you feel better. They're going to tell you everything that's going to help you change.
Absolutely. And, you know, and I feel just on that topic as well, because it's such an important one, you know, to become the kind of person that is willing to not be liked, so that you can give people what they really need rather than what they perceive they want. And that's why one of the greatest reasons I absolutely am immensely grateful for yourself, for your beautiful wife, Anya, who's loving this interview. She's saying that we're both super amazing. So I love the support there.
Thanks, Anya.
Because you two You have such hearts of gold. Everything I can see and feel that you do comes from the best possible place that has, I know, single one of your clients' best interests at heart. And
Yeah.
you're willing to kind of kick us up the butt and tell us the uncomfortable truths that at the time might be super challenging, might be the opposite to what we want to hear. But at the end of the day, you know, the people that you attract are those that they're terrified of being blind to the patterns that are tripping them up. And they want that hard truth so that they can get on about fast tracking their success and not staying stuck, you know, in being the victim, or, you know, being in those unconscious patterns that are limiting them in some capacity. So forever grateful for the work that you do, my friend. And thank you so, so much for showing up and spending this last hour of your time with us. I know everybody listening is going to get so much wisdom and perspective and calmness and all that great stuff. And I'm really excited for the people also who'll be watching this recording. It'll go across Facebook and YouTube and all those great platforms. So thank you again. And yeah, any final little things that you wanted to say before we wrap up in our last 3 minutes before we get booted off?
Look, Vanessa, I really want to thank you. Anyone who's following Vanessa, you know, she's got what it takes. She's amazing. She really cares. I've gotten to know underneath this beautiful woman, because she's so pretty, but she's just such a beautiful heart, and that's what I got to see. I got to see under the covers, and anyone who's getting looked after by Vanessa is going to be very lucky and very wise as a result of her care. And, you know, follow her, get the support, get what you need from her, because one thing I do as a leader is I fully back the people that I see who have an absolute brilliance, and you do. And anyone who gets the opportunity to experience you is going to be phenomenally lucky in their life. And you are a life changer.
Oh my gosh, you'd like practically make me cry here, Jason. That is so I don't even know what to say, but I'm very grateful for those amazing words, because they touched my heart deeply. And that's one of the reasons why I'm super grateful for you, because you do see underneath that, and I know you see my heart and soul as I see yours. And yeah, you got me for life, my friend. Absolutely.
Thanks, bud.
And thank you again for joining us, and thanks to all of our live audience. Yeah,
thanks so much for your time, guys.
Awesome. All right, and Kayla said, love this. Thank you both so much. And thank you, Jerry. He's in agreement. And Tiana's given us some love as well. So grateful. And I will see you soon. And much love to all of you guys as well.
All right. See ya.
Bye.